You have poured months, maybe even years into building it. Late nights, countless iterations. Your AI prototype finally works. The algorithm is elegant, the outputs are stunning. You're convinced this is going to change everything. But here's the hard truth. Nobody's using it. And you're not alone. 80% of AI design tools never make it past the first year. They die quietly, buried under the weight of brilliant technology that nobody understood, nobody needed, or nobody even knew existed. So what separates the tools that disappear from the ones that become indispensable? That's exactly what we're about to uncover. Here's the brutal reality most developers face. There's a massive gap between what you've built and what people actually want. And it's not a technical gap, it's an emotional one. Think about it this way. When you look at your product, you see neural networks, parametric algorithms, computational efficiency. You see the architecture you painstakingly designed. You see innovation. But when a potential user looks at your product, they don't see any of that. They can't. And honestly, they don't care. Your user isn't thinking about how your generative model was trained or what framework powers the backend. They're thinking about their own problems. The deadline that's crushing them. Client who keeps asking for revisions. The creative block they hit at 2 in the morning. They're thinking, can this make my life easier? This is the vision gap. And it kills more startups than bad code ever could, because developers think in features. Users think in benefits. You're speaking completely different languages, and until you bridge that gap, your brilliant tool will stay invisible. Let me give you a perfect example. Canva. When they launched, the market was already flooded with design tools, Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign. These were powerful industry-standard applications with decades of development behind them. But Canva didn't try to compete on features. They didn't build more complex tools. They did the opposite. They stripped away the complexity and asked a different question. What if design was simple enough that anyone could do it? They focused on the user's emotional state, the intimidation, the frustration of learning complicated software, and they built a tool that made people feel capable instead of overwhelmed. That empathy-first approach turned them into a $40 billion company. The lesson? Your user doesn't care how sophisticated your algorithm is. They care how it saves them time, money, or mistakes. They care how it makes them feel. So if features don't sell, what does? Story. Every successful product has a narrative. Not a technical specification. Shita, transformation narrative. A before and after. A hero's journey where your tool is the guide, not the hero. Here's what I mean. Imagine a freelance designer named Maria. She's talented, but she's drowning. She's juggling 5 clients, each with different brand guidelines, revision requests, endless mock-ups. She's working 16-hour days, and she's still falling behind. Her creativity is being crushed by repetitive tasks. That's the before. Now imagine Maria discovers your generative design tool. Suddenly, instead of manually creating 50 layout variations, she inputs the parameters once, and your AI generates options in seconds. She's not replacing her creativity, she's amplifying it. The tool handles the grunt work, and she gets to focus on the strategic creative decisions that actually matter. Within a month, she's taken on 3 more clients. Her income doubles. More importantly, she's sleeping again. She has time to experiment with personal projects. She feels like a designer again, not a production machine. That's the after. This is what selling the transformation looks like. You're not selling features, you're not even selling the tool itself. You're selling the life your user gets to live once your tool removes their obstacles. And here's the critical part. If your product story doesn't make people feel something excitement, relief, hope, possibility, they'll forget it in 10 seconds. Because emotion is what sticks. Facts fade. Feelings don't. Think about every product you've ever loved. I guarantee there's an emotional connection there. Maybe it gave you confidence. Maybe it saved you from embarrassment. Maybe it just made something complicated feel effortless. Your generative design tool needs to tap into that same emotional core. What does it feel like to use it? What burden does it lift? What freedom does it create? Answer those questions, and you're not just building software, you're crafting a story people want to be part of. All right, you understand the importance of story and emotion. But how do you actually take your prototype and turn it into something market-ready? How do you go from I built this cool thing to people are paying for this? It comes down to 4 essential steps. Think of this as your market readiness blueprint. Step 1. Validate the pain. Before you write a single line of marketing copy, before you design your landing page, you need to talk to real users. Not hypothetical personas you created in a strategy to actual human beings who have the problem you think you're solving. No. And here's the key. You're not validating your solution. You're validating the pain. Ask them about their current workflow. What frustrates them? It takes too long. What makes them anxious? Tasks do they dread every single day? Listen for the emotional triggers, the sighs, the complaints, the stories of staying up until 3 a.m. to meet a deadline. Those moments, those are gold, because pain is what drives purchase decisions, not features. If you can prove that you deeply understand their struggle, they'll trust that you can solve it. Step 2. Build for usability, not impressiveness. This is where a lot of technical founders stumble. You want to showcase everything your tool can do. All the parameters, all the options, all the advanced controls. You want to prove how powerful it is? But complexity doesn't impress users, it intimidates them. Look at the most successful AI tools on the market right now. Midjourney, ChatGPT, Runway. What do they have in common? Intuitive interfaces. You don't need to read a manual or watch a 3-hour tutorial to get started. The core functionality is obvious within seconds. Your generative design tool should be the same. Prioritize the simplest possible user experience. Can someone create something valuable in their first 5 minutes? If not, you're losing them because users don't have patience anymore. They have options. If your tool feels like homework, they'll find something easier. Step 3. Educate the market. Here's an uncomfortable truth. Most people don't know they need your product yet. Even if they have the pain, they might not realize there's a better way. Your job isn't just to build, it's to educate. And the best way to educate in 2025? Show, don't tell. Create demos. Make short videos, Instagram Reels, TikToks, YouTube Shorts showing real transformations. Now, don't just show the final output. Show the messy before. Show the moment of struggle. Then show how quickly your tool solves it. These videos do 2 things. First, they prove the tool works. Second, they create what I call possibility awareness. The moment someone realizes, wait, I didn't know this was even possible. That moment of realization is when interest turns into desire. Step 4. Position with authority. In a crowded market, people don't just buy the best tool, they buy from people they trust. So share your journey. Why did you build this? What problem were you trying to solve? What did you learn along the way? Authenticity builds authority. When people see the human behind the product, when they understand your mission, they're not just buying software, they're buying into your vision. And here's a micro hook to remember. Your launch doesn't need a crowd, it needs believers. 10 people who love your tool and tell everyone about it are worth more than 1,000 who casually try it once and forget. Every successful AI tool starts with one person saying, "This solves my problem." Find that person, understand them, serve them deeply, then find 9 more like them. That's how movements start. Let's bring this all together. Building an AI product, especially a generative design tool, isn't just about innovation. It's not just about algorithms or technology or having the smartest solution in the room. It's about empathy. It's about understanding the person on the other side of the screen. Their frustrations, their dreams, their 3 a.m. panic when nothing's working. It's about building something that doesn't just function but transforms. The generative design tools that succeed aren't necessarily the most technically advanced. They're the ones that connect emotionally with creators. The ones that understand the designer's workflow, the architect's constraints, the artist's vision. The ones that feel less like software and more like a creative partner. Those are the tools that don't just launch, they scale globally. They become indispensable. They change industries. And here's the thing. You're capable of building that. You already have the technical skills. You already have the vision. Now you just need to bridge the gap between what you've created and what your users actually need to hear. So if you're working on an AI tool right now, if you're in that messy middle between prototype and product, drop a comment below and say, "Ready?" Because I want to make a full video breaking down the exact go-to-market strategy for creators, how to position, how to launch, how to find your first believers. And if this video helped you see your product from a different angle, hit that subscribe button, smash the like, because we're going deep on building products that actually matter, not just ones that work, but but ones that people love. Thanks for watching. Now go turn that prototype into something unforgettable.